Daith da, Aubi Nakan. Welcome to podcast number 111. Well, another week has flown by. Last weekend I did work most of the weekend, to be honest. Monday we was down St Michael's Church down in Newquay, and before the service there was a pianist there. He was a friend of the family, and he was playing songs just as people come in. Mainly it was Beatles songs. Well, of course, as you know, I love the Beatles. And it was fantastic. I could have sat and listened to it all day. The tunes, he was going right through the songbook. And I have to admit, it's the first time in 41 years I've gone to a funeral and I've heard Mean Mr. Mustard being played, which was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Tuesday, we had a different venue. And this was St Q Village Hall. The hall that is in there behind the church. And this was for Connie, somebody that I've known all my life. Mother Av for a good deal of her life as well. Because Connie, well, she lived in the same house in Trequite for 77 years. I think she moved there when she was 4. And of course, my Uncle Monty, he lived there in Trequite. So Mother used to go up and see Monty and always would see Connie. And Connie, being a Methodist, obviously all the chapels around, they've shut down. I think lately she'd been going de la Bowl. But she said that she'd like to have her funeral in the village hall there at St Q, which she was connected with for many years. And it worked well, really. It was a bit awkward getting the coffin in because it was quite tight as you get there to the actual hall door. But we set our PA system up, so we had the speakers at the back and coming in through the window at the front. And yeah, it did work very well. And dear old Connie, there was a lovely crowd there for that. I'm sure she would have loved it. And actually, I don't think I mentioned last week, I think I did it on the Thursday, that we had dear Calvin's funeral. Calvin was another Bridger I've known in all my life. And it was a lovely turnout for that too. It really was. And the Shipwrecks sung as well, our local boy band, and they did in proper. They really did. Thursday, yesterday, because I'm actually recording this Friday evening. I'm cutting a bit fine, to be honest. 'Tis 8:30 Friday evening. I'm on call, so anything could happen. But we had our namesake, John. He sadly passed away. We did talk before, me and John, and we think we may have been related if you go back far enough, because John's family, they was from Bodmin originally. We was from Withiel, so there's brev and close, really. And, of course, there's all of our families, all Johns. I mean, I did have an Uncle John Bray, but he died when he was 4.5, dear Evan. And then, of course, father was Ronald John. I'm David John. James is James John. And it's lovely that Jesse, my grandson, is Jesse John. But you might have seen on Facebook, I did put a photograph on our RJ Bray Facebook page of the Land Rover hearse that we had for John. And I tell you what, I think he would have loved that. I really do think he would love that. He's someone that's going to be definitely missed in the local area. And it was a lovely little service for John. It really was. And then the same day we had Tom's funeral at Glyn Valley as well. Someone else that we've known forever. It's definitely a lot of locals that people I've known all my life, kind of thing, or for a long time, are passing away at the moment. And then today I did put a photo on again on our Facebook page because we was down St Irvine today. Now, you may recognise St Irvine because obviously we had Chris Parkin's interview the last 2 weeks, and Chris was brought up there, Dolgy Post, just outside Rumford, just up the road from St Irvine Church. And so it ties in, really. And I thought of Chris today as we drove through Rumford and everything. And St Irvine Church, 'tis a place, well, you would only go there if you wanted to get there or you took a wrong turning, because 'tis a dead end. But because there's no through traffic, 'tis one of these fantastic, well, what should I say, Cornish churches, again, that's so peaceful. 'Tis beautiful. All you hear is the wildlife. And the photo I put on our Facebook page, they've just been given a miniature model of the church. And as you go down the steps towards the church, 'tis there. I tried to get a photo of the miniature and the big one, but it didn't come out too good, really. So I just put a photo on of the miniature church. But the fantastic little church that's been done there. But if you're ever out round that way, definitely go through Rumford. Lovely little village, but then head for St Irvin Church. I can't remember who was talking to me this week. We was talking about how many people listen to the podcast now and whereabouts they are in the world. And I did have a look just now, and it's gone over 57,000 downloads. I looked last week. And I can look to see where everybody's listening to. I can actually look into the towns if I want to. But I thought this week I'd just do like the top 10 countries just to give you an idea. And then I can always do the towns another day if you wanted to. But obviously the main bulk of it are in the United Kingdom. 95% are listening in the United Kingdom. But then what I'll do, I'll just do the top 10. So number 1 was United Kingdom. I'll go from there just to give you an idea where else people are listening around the world. So second was Ireland, then Australia, United States, Sweden, Japan, Spain, Portugal, Mexico, and Greece. So how about that? All from a little office here in Eglisale. But I'm glad you're all loving it, and I plan to keep going for a little while longer yet anyway. The one thing actually I just thought, I was talking about Connie's funeral just now at St Q Village Hall, and it wasn't sounding right. And of course, Tin Village Hall, they call it the Parish Hall. I thought I'd better say that a minute to St Q Parish Hall, otherwise I'm going to be shot if I get that wrong. Right, well, now I won't talk no more. We'll go over to my interview now with Mike. We'll have a few parts to this interview. Part 1 tonight. I went up to see him this week, and he was there with Barbara, his wife. Now, Barbara, her father was Ben Radford, and he used to work down Egg Depot with Mother and Father years ago. And I think I might get her on in the future as well. But we was talking to Mike this week, and I'm sure you'll love it. It's very interesting, talking about growing up in Wadebridge and then moving to rock and his work career in rock and everything. So, yeah, I think you'll love it. I certainly did. I was there for hours. It was brilliant. I could have talked all night. Very interesting. So over to Mike now. I'll speak to you directly with me Cornish dialect and me Cornish word, but here it is. Get on, Mike. How we knacking?
Oh, getting on very well, thank you, Dave. It's bit of a hold up with this artificial leg, but apart from that,
you doing all
pretty
right?
Good. Yeah.
You're still here to tell the tale.
Still here to tell the tale.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for meeting me.
No problem. I'm glad to see you.
Yeah, no, that's beauty. I think if we go back originally, like to your mother's family.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
That is fine, yeah.
Because them old Bridgers, they are.
They certainly are that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The family started off down on the Platte at Wadebridge with great-grandfather Robert Woolcock, who was a railway agent. I don't know what he didn't do, really, because they had the stables in behind, they ran coaches, they had a dairy, he was an agent for the railway, and over the top of the cottages, they had the eating house. Right. Well, these days, it would be called a restaurant, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was Grandad, you said?
Great-granddad.
Great-granddad, yeah.
Yeah. Now, at some stage, it must have been late 1930s that grandfather Harry Woolcock took over. Mm-hmm. But we've lost touch with what happened to the rest of the family.
Right.
Knew two of the sisters because they both, one lived Queen's Park and one down Fernley Road. Right. So we knew those. Yeah. And then again, late 30s, grandfather moved up to Trabham Farm. And Trabham Farm was where I was born, 1st June 1944. Right. Being a reasonably big farmhouse, there was quite a big family living there. And really, however my gran coat with an old Cornish range cooking for everybody. I don't know.
No.
But it all happened. Only one slightly little funny story I can tell you from there. I went to my first day at school from there.
Right.
Now, up until I was 5, I had 180 acres to roam around on. Now, I went to the junior school on Egglesale Road, which is up by the girls' school.
Yeah.
First day at school, I'd been in class for apparently, I was told, about a couple of hours, and I thought I'd been shut in for long enough. I was out the door and walked home.
Brilliant.
When, as you can imagine, I promptly got carded back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think for a short time afterwards, the teacher had to lock the door.
Did they? Brilliant. I love it. Yeah. So they was a big family, was them?
Well, yes. There was obviously grandpa and gran lived there, and then Uncle William Wilcox, and then he got married to Margaret.
Yeah.
And then, well, my father was in the army when they got married. Mother lived there, and Auntie Betty lived there, which was the other sister.
Yeah.
But I really did. I should have checked up, but I don't know when they got married because they moved from there to the prefabs.
Oh, right.
Up Trevanion Road.
Yeah.
And you know, late 40s. The family just spread out a bit because there's just too many for
exactly
in one place.
Yeah.
Late 1940s, our family went to Knight's Mill to live. Myself and my next brother, Geoffrey, went to St F School. Father used to travel from there down to the Wadebridge slaughterhouse every day to carry on with his work. The St F School was lovely place. I was wicket keeper up there one day. I can remember the boy. He swung back with a bat and scat me right in the head and scat me flying.
Right.
And I had a bump on my head like you wouldn't believe.
Oh.
I think it might have knocked a lot of the sense out of me because I haven't got a lot these days.
Was it a big school then or no?
No, it was just a little junior school really.
Yeah.
And then because I think the ones progressed from there to Calford. I think 1952 or 3, Father managed to get the farm of Trineg, and we actually came back here to live. I don't know, we had 18 cows, I think, and a few other things roaming around, and we carried the farm on until end of the 50s. Father passed away, and luckily Mother gave the farm up. By then, the grandparents had moved to Rock.
Right.
Rock was where I wanted to be because I was into the boats.
I see.
The whole family moved out there to live.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Right.
That's Mother and my next brother. But the other brother, he went to Plymouth to live.
Yeah, I lost track of him.
Yeah, well, he lives now at a place called Shaw Prior.
Oh, right.
Up the other side of Plymouth.
Right.
But when he left and went to Plymouth, he was training to be an accountant, but he went to work for Farley's and worked for Farley's for quite a long time, and then he was taken over by Glaxo, I think it was. And then since that, he'd done various jobs. But he's still going like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereabouts in Rock did he live then?
Well, when we moved out to Rock originally, we lived at a place called Green Lane. Now you might know it as Four Lays Road.
Yeah.
Well, that always used to be Green Lane.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because the golf course back then was the Great Common. Green Lane was the lane for the commoners of Rock to drive their cattle up to the Great Common. But it's all been taken over by development.
Yeah.
Really.
Exactly.
Then we moved from there to Downra Bay, cottage down Downra Bay. Brother and myself worked at the boatyard at Rock. And we used quite often, during the summer, we'd walk to work. Across golf course.
Yeah.
Handsome. Yeah. Really, first thing in the morning, walk across golf course.
Yeah.
But back then, Damer Bay car park, the Granford looked after, especially weekends, you get 500-600 cars in there.
Would you?
Even back then. Yeah. And I just couldn't believe how busy it was. But we finished that, our best form of transport was motorbikes. Because late afternoon, it's only a one-track road down.
Yeah.
Taking an hour to get home some days.
Was it you and Jeff that worked in the boatyard at Rock? Was it? Right.
It was. It was. Both of us worked over there. The boatyard at that stage was right behind the Rock Hotel, and then in the mid to late 60s, it moved up to Pitamy.
Who run that? Who run the boatyard?
Well, the boatyard was run originally by Ken Duxbury, Ken Robertson, and Trevor Evans. That went on until they moved up to the new works, as it was called. Ken Duxbury ducked out, and a chap called Peter Keelan took over. But Peter, he was a businessman, and he moved the firm. He really moved the firm forward. Yeah. You know, and then not long after that, they became Cornish Crabbers.
Ah, yes, yeah.
And then Roger Dongray got involved, and you know, they developed quite a number of boats. But Crabbers moved from Rock into Wadebridge, and funny enough, my son and his partner have taken over the whole of Crabbers.
Get away!
Yeah.
God, fantastic!
Yeah. And it's now known as Rock Marine. Yeah, and they're engine men.
Yeah,
really, mainly. You know, they store a few sailing boats and one thing or another, but their job is engines. And you know, it's very busy. During my time at Rock, I ran the Water Sea School for around 20 years. I spent 32 years on the harbour board, on the harbour commissioners, and I was involved with the lifeboat for 20 years. You know, that was brilliant, really, because it gave so many youngsters out around Rock a chance to do something different. It really did.
Yeah. For
all the training they could get and everything, and you know, and a lot of them have moved on to far better things than I think they would have normally done. Yeah. During the time that I was there, I think we were accredited with saving something like 98 lives. Probably one of the worst things was we had a number of dogs, and it was generally spaniels, gone off the cliff, and you know, when we picked them up, it's, you know, when the family came to pick them up, it was always a bit of a traumatic time. As I say, you know, it's given a lot of youngsters a lot of experience.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've covered so much there in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
If we look in depth a little bit, because I know with the Woolcocks, you said that they had a glass hearse.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes, apparently so. That they were into providing a glass hearse around Wadebridge for funerals.
Right.
As part of what they did with the horses. As well as running the coaches, to Newquay, Paulsworth and Bude, the glass hearse was available to any of the undertakers, as I understand it.
Yeah.
What is interesting on this, I've still got this old business card of great-grandfathers. Can you see how the plat is spelled?
Yeah, 1T.
1T.
Yeah. And did you say somewhere, one of them they had a telephone and the telephone number was 2?
Number 2 was the telephone. 2. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. So I'd like to find out who was number 1.
Number 1.
Yeah.
Because I know with their funeral business, like with Ronnie and going back, they was always 26.
Oh, right.
So they was a bit further on.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to find out who number 1 was.
Yeah, because I think there was, I think as far as the horses and carriages and that went, there was Derry's, who got mechanised.
Is that Derry Stonebottom Convene Hill with that?
Yeah. And Hawkeys.
Yeah.
And once they got into they got mechanised, and I think the horses and carriages got left behind.
Yeah.
Really, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Because they was there on the Platte, just to the left of the town hall when they came standing looking at it.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. And then you say the dairy was behind.
The dairy was, and the dairy and the stables were behind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it must, looking at the photographs, the number of people working there, it must have been a reasonable size operation, I would think.
Definitely.
But it's all everything was manual. Yeah. There was no machinery back then, so milking the cows, everything done by hand. Yeah. I'll just go on to one. I'll go back to one thing up at the farm. I haven't been able to drink milk for years. Right. In fact, I couldn't drink milk from when I was small. And one of Grandfather's farm workers that used to milk by hand, he used to chew baccy, spit on his hands and milk. And I could never face drinking it.
No. I like it. I love it.
But I take it might have just given the milk a bit of flavour.
Because you said you had to milk cows a bit before you went to school, was it?
Yes, I did, yeah.
Yeah. Was that after Father had passed away?
Yes, it was really.
Right, yeah.
But, we used to help out while he was there. But we had a milking machine. No electricity on the farm, so it was in and one handle, start the engine up, and off you go.
Yeah.
But it was quite a thing at the time to have. I think if I remember rightly, it was called. There was two around. There was Alpha Laval and Gascoigne, and we had a Gascoigne machine, and it just made life so much easier.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Whereas Grandfather from his farm, he used to run the milk round as well, so they used to bottle the milk at the farm, and then take it around Wadebridge and sell it. Ours just went off in churns.
Yeah.
And the milk lorry come around every day.
Yeah.
And he'd come down from Fred Pierce's down around, and then head off up or towards Pengelly. It's not just doing the milking. You've obviously, everything's got to be washed out after, cowshed cleaned out, cows put out the grass, and, Yeah. But it was, a good life, really.
Yeah. Apart from when the truancy officer...
I used to get a regular call from me. Yeah. Because, there was just some days when work had to be done. Especially when Father was in hospital for quite a bit, and especially after he passed away, the cows still had to be milked and everything dealt with. So.
And you said he had TB, did you?
Yeah. That was that was what was written on his death certificate.
Yeah.
And the thing was, they thought he'd actually caught it from the animals, being a slaughterman. But obviously, while he was down there working, the abattoir took over, and I'm pretty sure that before he was ill, he went to work for Jack Lockett, butcher's shop up the street. Was working in the shop with. Now, if I ain't sure whether it might have been Jack Steer.
All right.
Never fear, Steer is here. And Bill Lightfoot, the right old gang, I should think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
And we was talking about the choir.
Yeah.
And when the choir started. Was it your great-grandfather who started?
No, Grandfather and Dr. Gunn, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Were the founders of the original Wadebridge Male Voice Choir. They had as far as I know, they had their first concert at Padstow the 19th of January 1921. And, the Male Voice Choir has obviously gone on from there.
Yeah.
But I think Grandfather was a tenor. Now, he was always a good singer, and when the Beatles came on the scene, he used to turn the radio off because he couldn't stand it.
No.
Well, I know one or two boys now that are in the male voice choir still, so I take it it's sort of gone on since then, really.
Yeah. Because you said the Walcocks were quite a musical family, weren't
Yeah, that's right. They were. Mother used to play the accordion and piano. Grandfather be on the banjo, and Uncle William, he was the mouth organ man.
Yeah.
Or the Jew's harp, or the bones.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it used to be a fair old rattle altogether. But I must admit, as a family, around Christmas time and all that, there would be a good old sing-song at the house, really.
Yeah.
Because, probably 20 odd people there, I suspect.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Because I remember in the front room up Trabham, they could sit 24 people around the table in the dining room.
Yeah.
They'd always kill a pig and salt the pig away out in the dairy.
Right.
And there was always a ham hanging up in the kitchen. Grandfather would come in from his work in the morning, get the knife out, slice off his bacon, cook the bacon and eggs, and it was just like a typical old farmhouse, really.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, everyday occurrence back then, but a different world completely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. But,
Trabham was quite a big spread up already with all the lovely brick-built barns and all the cowsheds, and the only thing was we wouldn't allow it anywhere near the bull.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't have actually put a quiet one. Originally, there was a water wheel that used to drive the crusher, the corn crusher, but the spring that fed the mill pool dried up.
Oh.
So that all finished. I remember looking at it. The water wheel was actually set down. It was quite a big thing, and there was a shaft running all the way up beside the hedge, up through the orchard, that went right into the mill house that used to drive the mill. Whoever set all that up originally must have been
very clever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah, to see how that farm was farmed as a proper farm then, and it was by the next two owners of it afterwards, as far as I know. But to see what they used to produce there with an old Fortson tractor and two Shire horses is unbelievable, really.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, I remember the horses, Prince and Duke.
Get away.
Yeah. I had an old uncle, Uncle Jack, lived up at Triggerwheel.
Yes.
And there was a lane that joined Triggerwheel to Trabham.
Right.
Came down. I always remember, I'm backtracking here a little bit, really. He used to come down Sunday mornings, pick me up on the horse, and take me down the marshes to look at the cattle. There was one other thing. The Americans that were stationed over St Morgan used to run down through with the jeeps down to Target.
Right, yes, I know.
You know where Target is? Well, the Target was actually in the woods over Grandfather's last field edge.
Right.
And when they were firing, the red flag was up. But I can remember seeing the old Jeep running down through there. But Grandfather said quite often you'd hear one go over the top. A bullet.
Yeah,
that is.
Certainly.
Because they had to get the other side of the river, where I think it's called Target Stand now, isn't it?
I don't know. Right.
And there were banks in the field. They'd go over the river, up the other field. They'd be lying on the banks and firing back up. There were two targets up in the woods.
Yeah.
Often meant to go back there to see how much lead was up there.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Americans wouldn't have bothered to pick it up.
No, not at all.
But I would imagine that's all probably rusted out by now, really.
Yeah.
Well, during the war, yeah, it was all happening.
Yeah.
And there was another place, Granford made a seat up in one of the fields because him and Gran used to go up there and sit. And they could see Plymouth burning at night.
Oh.
Yeah.
Christ.
And they'd see the German bombers flying back over sometimes.
Yeah. Don't bear thinking about it.
No, it doesn't really.
No.
It doesn't.
And you said there was some machine gun posts up?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, near Windwhistle. We had one of the fields. It's opposite where Fred Pierce used to live. We had the two fields there. And up in the corner of the field, there were two properly built machine gun posts where they could get inside, and there was a trench around between them because we used to play there when we was kids.
Yeah.
And presumably, I remember old Fred Pierce telling me that a couple of bombs had been dropped. One went off behind his house and blew quite a big hole in the field. That was between him and the Hodges house.
Yeah.
And the other one went in the field directly opposite. There was a chap called Sloman lived in a house there.
Yeah.
And he ploughed into the field, and I just don't know whether that one is still there or not.
Still there. No, so we'll try and find out. Huh?
Yeah, well, I could do with somebody with a metal detector. Go on and have a look.
Yeah.
Really? Unless I would say Mr. Hodges got that field now. Whether anybody's been and had a go at digging it up, I don't know.
We'll try and find out.
But he's been there for a long time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you, Mike. That was proper. I hope you enjoyed that, everyone, and there'll be more from Mike next week. I thought for me Cornish word of the week, I'd do the word for boat, because obviously boats was Mike's life. So the Cornish word for boat is scath. Scath. And my Cornish dialect, tis a sad one, really. There's so many people around my age are passing away at the minute. Just this week, I had to go to look after an old schoolmate of mine. And I can remember years ago, you go to funerals and you'd hear people saying about somebody that had died that was their age. They'd say, cool, they're picking out of our pen now. And, of course, what they meaning by that is like if you got a flock of sheep or a load of sheep in a pen, and the farmer's coming to pick which one might be going to market. And they say that they're picking out of our pen. So that'll be me dialect for the week. I was talking to David Williams about it, actually, and he took it a stage further. I can't remember if he said to us his father or his uncle or grandfather, but somebody used to say to him, stay in the middle of the pen. Don't go near the edge, which I thought was quite funny. But yeah, 'tis very sad, really, and it does make you think. I mean, I still think of myself as fairly youngish, and to have so many people passing away your own age, it does make you think. But that'll be me Cornish dialect for the week. They're picking out of our pen now. Right, well, I'm going to leave you now. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll speak to you again next week. I hope you have a good week. Wish you well. Do Guinness. Curnovis Ficken.